Joining me now exclusively, the attorney for Colin Wyant's family, Rex Elliott. Mr. Elliott, thank you very much for being with us tonight. So who is your lawsuit against? Are you planning to also sue the university, the Ohio University?
Well, yeah, we don't know just yet. We don't have enough information regarding what the university knew and what it should have known. But our lawsuit right now is directed at the organizations directly responsible for this, which are the local chapter of the Sigma Pi fraternity and the national chapter of the Sigma Pi fraternity, which has had problems on college campuses across the country.
You know, when you look at the numbers, I think 40 people have died in hazing incidents in just the past 10 years on college campuses, and the deaths go on before that. When you listen to what is being done to these young men, and I can't help but think about the rightful work that's being done on campuses to prevent sexual assault and Me Too. And everywhere you go on college campuses today, there are posters everywhere with phone numbers to call. Where are the phone numbers to call and the posters and the movement to stop this kind of senseless death of young men?
Exactly. The reality is that these anti-hazing statutes, some of the publicity in the past, the reality is that fraternities are a thing of the past. You put 50, 60, 70, 18 to 22-year-old boys in a house congregating together, and then you don't watch them. You simply send them over there and you tell them to enjoy their own social status. It's a recipe for disaster, and one life lost is too much.
Absolutely. And this young man, according to what I read earlier about this case, he said to his friends as he was heading out from where they were, I'm going to get hazed. He got a call, time to show up at this off-campus house, which is a separate building where they were doing this stuff. Is that right?
He was on call 24/7. Colin Wyant had just gotten home from a great weekend with his family. He had connected with some of his friends, and he got the call around midnight to connect with the active fraternity members. He was on call. He had, in his world, he had no choice, and he immediately told a friend that, here we go again, I'm about to get hazed. Colin Wyant was seen, observed at 2 o'clock in the morning, perfectly sober, not drunk, not intoxicated, and 50 minutes later, as he ventured into that fraternity house down at 45 Mill Street, he was dead.
It's unbelievable. What do they say? What does the fraternity say? And what do these so-called brothers say about why they do this to these young men and why they did this to this young man, potentially, allegedly, causing his death?
Well, it's a great question, and the reality is there's no redeeming value for the kinds of things that they put Colin through. That night, I will tell you that at 2:50 a.m. in the morning, there was a 911 call placed by one of the active members who told the 911 operator that, hey, Colin seems to be a little unresponsive. Looks like he had way too much to drink that night, which is just a bold-faced lie. And then on top of it all, within hours, instead of being concerned about Colin and his family, the fraternity congregated. They pulled themselves all together. They initiated all the pledges that night. It was not supposed to occur for a couple months. They initiated them that night, had a big meeting, talked about what happened that night in order to get their story straight. So the reality is, this fraternity in particular was not really concerned about life and death. They were concerned about their own survival.
Well, keep us posted on this case. We followed Tim Piazza's case very closely here, and we will follow this case closely as well. And our heart goes out to his family. They must be absolutely heartbroken, of course, at the loss of this young man. Devastated. Unbelievable.
Devastated.
Thank you. This should not happen. Rex Elliott, thank you very much.
Thank you, Martha. It's been a privilege.